Well, good evening. It looks like we have room for a few more people, but not many more people. We're so glad to see you. Welcome to our regular Board of Education meeting, October 24th. And this meeting will be live streamed, be connected to our YouTube channel, and will be available anytime after this meeting. To order, please stand in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a Secretary Pro Tem tonight in Mandy McKay. Mandy, welcome, and please help us out with roll call.
Sure. Ms. Hines. Ms. Gleason Miller.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Present.
Mr. Harrell. Dr. Ward.
Here.
Ms. Reinhardt.
Here.
And Ms. Kalk.
Here. And Mr. Harrell may be joining us electronically later in the meeting. This point is our extraordinary educational opportunities and experiences, and I know that's what you've all been waiting for, so we'll have several celebrations.
Okay, good evening. As you see, we have a lot of celebrations tonight. We're going to start with our students. 15 juniors were selected to attend the annual Missouri Scholars Academy this past June. This prestigious summer experience provides students an opportunity to join gifted peers from across the state to explore areas of interest on the University of Missouri campus. Criteria for acceptance included academic achievement and a demonstrated commitment to excellence in the classroom and their community. We hope they enjoyed their 3-week college experience, connecting and taking a deeper dive into their future aspirations. Our students are Austin Carrington,
Wave if you hear your name.
okay. Dominic Gonzalez, Drew Harkey, Cindy Wynn, Bridget McCoy, Amy Wynn, Dimitri Wynn, Dylan Wynn, Thwee Wynn, Aaron Nickel, Ben Place, Yul Schneider, Catherine Slattery, Dylan Webb, and Gabriel Wells. Congratulations.
Hold on, Steph.
We just want to commend you for this experience and know that it's a very special experience and one that you'll probably remember most of your lifetime. Many of you have brought persons here tonight, and I'm going to pass the mic down that way if you want to introduce who's here, and we will congratulate them as well.
Several of my family members in the back over there. I came here with my mom.
Our dad's in the back corner over there.
My mom and grandmother are here.
My dad's over there, my mom's over there, my little brother, and my stepdad.
My mom's down there.
My mom and my dad are in the back.
My mom and dad are also in the back right there.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and yeah, certainly clap for them. Now, I understand you guys had to go on the campus at Mizzou, right? And you spent some time there with other gifted students. Does anybody want to share a little bit about your experience? Ben, you'll do it. Thank you.
I think I speak for everybody when I say that we all really, really enjoyed our time at MSA. We got to meet with people who share some of the same passions as us, some of us for the first times in our lives. So it was a really great experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I know that we have some principals here. So before we let you go, if your principal's here, well, how about this? I'll introduce your principals. I saw Molly. Dr. Smith's here. And how many Oak Park kids do we have? All right. And I saw Dr. Tate. Where's Dr. Tate? Yes. And I know we have some and do we have some Northtown kids? Yeah. Here we go. And then do Staley kids. Oh, there's our Staley representative. All right. Yeah. So congratulations to all of you, and we'd love to shake your hands on to go around. Thank you. Good job.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks, Ben. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
Congratulations. Okay. We are also proud to congratulate 6 outstanding members of the class of 2024 who have earned recognition as National Merit Commended Students. Each senior earned this top honor thanks to dedicated academic excellence and performance on standardized exams. Commended students represent the top 3% of test takers throughout the country. They are now eligible for many selective scholarships to support their post-secondary goals. Congratulations to Carmen Klein from Winnetonka, Jillian Hausch from Staley, Cruz Lewis from Oak Park, Madeline Molina from Staley, Ethan Nguyen from Staley, and Ralph Yarr from Staley.
Congratulations. Academic performance is really important and a real good marker of your success in that way. So we are so pleased to have you here and representing our school district and your school and your individual talents. So again, I'm going to ask if you have people here. I'm going to send the mic down that way as well. Okay.
I'm here with my sister and my dad.
I'm here with my dad.
Mother.
I'm here with my mom and my dad right here. I'm here with my mom, dad, and older sister.
Awesome. Well, it's just fabulous that we have students in the top 3% of our whole state. That's just wonderful. So thank you for all the hard work you do. And also thank you for choosing North Kansas City. And you got a lot of work to do for the years out yet, huh? Does anybody have any big plans for post-high school that you want to share with us? Nope. All right. Well, thanks for coming.
The Oak Park varsity football team is the NAIA's 2023 Team of Character. Congratulations to our student athletes, coaches, whole team, and support staff. For this impressive honor from the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. The Northmen were selected from nominations across the city based on our demonstration of the organization's champions of character traits, which are integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and servant leadership. The award will officially be presented on November 2nd. Congratulations, Northmen football.
You guys have had an extraordinary year and have excited so many fans and so many people across the city watching your performance. But I have to say, this particular award just really blows my mind. It is very, very wonderful honor, and really, there's the rest of the team. I thought you looked a little larger on the sidelines than what was up here. but it speaks to who you are as people, and that is the most important quality. So congratulations on a really outstanding year.
I asked Coach if he wants to say anything about this group, but they still got a lot of football to play yet, so he's not going to tell them they're good yet, right? Yeah. Coach, you guys are off this week, right? Yes. You got to buy the 1 seed in your district. Congratulations. I have to tell you, I went to that Central game, and you were down a little bit, and you started fussing with each other. I thought we were going to have to take the award back, but you all got together and ended up winning that football game, so it all worked out in the end, and you've been a lot of fun to watch this year, and just keep going. Keep going. Congratulations. Oh, yeah. No, we do have a moment. If you had somebody come with you, will you introduce them, guys? You can do that. Here we go. Anybody?
I brought my cousin over there.
Brought my mom.
Mom and dad over there.
Brought my dad.
I brought my friend.
Got my mom and dad.
Brought my mom.
I brought my mom.
Mom and dad.
Mom, dad, and brother.
And my girlfriend. Forgot about that. I brought my mom, my dad, and my brother.
And Coach brought Coach Valdez and Dr. Smith, and you brought your wife, and
Brought my better half and my youngest son, Jack.
awesome. Well, one more round of applause for Oak Park football. Yeah. Will you do a handshake for us? We have any more? We have our.
We have one more student that showed up, and then Cindy Thank you, Cindy. So we were.
This your first
Okay.
Hey, what catch me in something the other night? Where'd that come from? That was awesome. Congratulations.
Okay, we have one more junior from our Missouri Scholars Academy that just showed up, and we would love to have her come up. That would be Cindy Wynn from Northtown.
Cindy, thank you for coming and congratulations on this award. It's a wonderful scholarship accomplishment. We're proud of you. And we would like to congratulate you too. Did you bring someone else with you tonight?
Yes. I brought my mom, who's right there.
Makes the whole family, doesn't it?
Yes, congratulations. What high school do you go to?
I go to North Kansas City High School.
North Kansas City High School. So Dr. Jones is here. We want to make sure we recognize him and thank him for being here. And is there anybody else from Northtown that we want to make sure? All right, I think we got him. So you spent some time at Mizzou, right? With the rest of our folks, and did you enjoy it as much as they did?
Yes, I did.
Awesome, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Congratulations. Okay. Tonight, we are proud to recognize 3 staff members from our maintenance department as our champions of service. Our first honoree, Jerome Walker. is an electrician known for his quick thinking, reliability, and service-oriented mindset. On one memorable occasion, Jerome responded to a call from his supervisor late on a Sunday night. The power had gone out at Davidson Elementary and students would be back in the morning. Jerome arrived quickly to provide assistance, dressed to the nines, with his wife Stacy accompanying him. It turns out they had been out to a movie. Jerome, ever focused on serving students, didn't mention this when he answered the call, instead saying without hesitation that he would be there soon to help. By the way, don't worry, the maintenance team made up for it later by sending him out for another movie night. Thank you, Jerome, for your relentless dedication to excellence and focus on serving others.
I really enjoyed this story of dedication and purpose and how important this was to you, and you are important to us, so we really appreciate you. Thank you for all of that. And I want to know, is Stacy here tonight?
Yeah, she's here, my wife Stacy, and my two daughters, Allison and Abby, and they were Winnetonka graduates, and so my wife works at Academic Services, so we're a district family here.
Thank you so much for dedication.
Well, we've had the opportunity to work together for quite some time now, haven't we? And I know that we listed a lot of characteristics about Jerome, but one that I'll always appreciate is his calmness. Things cannot be, sometimes things don't go well for us, and you have as many buildings as we have, but he always comes in, he's calm, he can fix whatever needs to be fixed so that we can have school for our kids. Sometimes our kids don't want to have school, but you're still able to get the electricity on so they can. But thank you for what you do. It's rare that you go into a building and don't run into one of our electricians, and they do a fantastic job of keeping it up. And I know that you kind of work with that group and make sure we stay ahead of the trouble. So we appreciate you very much. Yeah.
We also have Bobby Davis. Bobby Davis is also known for her exceptional customer service and problem-solving mindset. She is the brains behind the operation and maintenance, dispatching staff across our 84 square miles in her role as the department's administrative assistant. No problem is too big for Bobby, and she has truly found her niche in coordinating the extensive projects undertaken by our maintenance team. Her positivity and friendly attitude improve everyone's day, and her focus on service benefits our students and staff across the district. Thank you, Bobby.
Bobby, I learned this weekend that we have a response to stress: fight, flight, or organization. And it sounds like you are our organizer. So thank you so much for bringing that gift to us. I thought it was just magic how it all happened, but you are the person behind the scenes. So thank you very much. And did you bring someone with you too?
I did not bring anyone. My son is actually playing up at Staley in the pouring down rain for a soccer game. So.
Generally, you don't want to miss those games. But with all the rain, it's probably not a bad place to be here tonight.
Exactly, because he's a senior this year, so this is his last home
game. There you go. Well, Mark's here, our director of maintenance. I would like to say thank you to, how many maintenance guys are there? 26. So coordinating work tickets for 26 people on a daily basis has to be a challenge.
Yes, keeping them straight.
Is Mark harder than the other 26?
Some days.
Well, thank you for what you do. We really do appreciate it.
I appreciate Mark's leadership, and it makes the job a lot easier.
Fantastic. Thank you.
We also have Dalton Hartgrove. Dalton is an experienced HVAC technician who has recently taken on a new leadership role within our maintenance team. Dalton is extremely responsive, ready to jump in and get his hands dirty to solve any need that arises. When one building reported a water leak, he didn't hesitate in taking quick action to prevent potentially catastrophic damage. Dalton's excellent customer service and deep knowledge of the ins and outs of facilities across the district truly sets him apart. Thank you, Dalton.
Dalton, thank you for all you do, and that customer service really sounds like it shines through, so we appreciate it. The board got really stellar reports about the start of school this year and how maintenance and so many of you individuals were there way ahead of the game getting everything ready for our students, and we so appreciate that, as well as the things that happen day in and day out, so thank you. And you have someone with you, I see.
I brought my wife and daughter, and my parents were back there as well. Yeah.
I saw Dalton, wasn't it Ravenwood the first day of school? And you're up in the ceiling on a ladder, and I didn't even have the courage to really ask him how it was going, because if you remember right, it was like 100 degrees on the first day of school this year, and I knew that they were running and chasing, but we're very thankful we didn't have to cancel any school. We were able to keep the buildings cool, and we don't do that without good people like Dalton. So thank you for what you do for us. All right.
Everyone is absolutely welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but if you would choose to leave, you are welcome to do so at this time, and thank you for coming, and stay dry. All right, I believe we'll convene. We received no requests for visitor comments this evening, so we'll move right on for the consideration of approval of the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval of the agenda as presented. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. And the agenda is approved. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda as before you?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval. I would ask for the treasurer's report, please.
Thank you, Madam President. We are now 3 months into this year. The good news is we're continuing on plan on both the revenue side and the expense side. No surprises there. State Budget Director reported that revenue collections are running just slightly behind last year, but at this point, nothing about which he's concerned. And the Finance Department is working with our new auditors to get the materials assembled for them so that the audit report can be prepared on a timely basis and we can meet the statutory requirement of submitting it to DESE. Other than that, no major, no major things which need highlighting, which is good news.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Ward or Mr. Fritz? Any other questions or comments regarding anything else on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've had a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, same sign. And the agenda is approved. I might make note of, there was two rather important things in the consent agenda, many important things, but two I will highlight. One was the Hodge Park real estate sale contract, and that is property that we are purchasing from the city of Kansas City for a potential new building. And that is yet to be determined what will go there, but that's our first step. There are other compliance and Connecticut contract, and I think most of the rest of them are fairly routine. So, oh, there was one other one. There was a well, two more. One is the Presbyterian Church. There was a real estate contract for the church across the street from North Kansas City High School that will be supportive, useful space for the district. And then the one that I was looking for, actually, no offense, please, Dr. Daniels, but is the superintendent's employment contract for next year that we will indeed employ Dr. Daniels beginning January 1st as our superintendent. So congratulations. Moving on, there are no separate items for consideration from consent. So on to new business. Our first item is Mr. Fritz discussing tuition rates for the 2023-24 year.
Yes, thank you. The North Kansas City School District has utilized the DESE standard tuition calculation tool to calculate the district's fiscal year 24 tuition rates based on Missouri statute. Based on actual expenditures for the fiscal year of 2023, the tuition rates by grade level for the 23-24 regular term are calculated as follows. For elementary K through 5 is $15,025. Middle school 6 through 8 is $14,589. And high school 9 through 12 is $14,336. And it is the district's administration's request that the board approve these rates as calculated.
Any questions or discussion about the report or the rates? Do I hear a motion for approval of the elementary, middle school, and high school rates as presented in the
I move approval of the tuition rates as presented by the administration.
Second. Moved and seconded by Ms. Gleason. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, same sign. Okay, they are approved. Thank you very much. Item 5.02 is addressing capacity at Belle Prairie Elementary. Dr. Avila will talk that with us. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, good evening. As you all may recall, our recent demographer reports continue to show Belle Prairie being at or surpassing capacity within the next few years. And so what we're thinking is with the additional capacity being added to New Nashua this year, there might be an opportunity there for us to relieve Belle Prairie. What you have here on the screen is just a consolidated view of the previous demographer's report for just the next few years, showing Belle Prairie's ideal capacity is at 780. This year, they were projected to be at 749. They're about there. They're at 745 right now, but as you see, it'll quickly jump in the next few years. The two areas that we are looking at potentially moving, as you can see, Belle Prairie's boundaries are was pretty expansive. They extend in the northern as well as wraps around the southern end of what backs up to Fox Hill. We are looking at the area in the northern part there, what would be considered Fairfield and Old Nashua neighborhoods. This was a decision that we came to with a collaboration with Dr. Evans and our demographer Bob Templeton, and he's projecting that 56 students from Fairfield and 36 from Old Nashua would potentially relieve Belle Prairie for next year. That's including or taking into account the growth they're projected to have as they build out in Cadence and Holly Farms over the next few years. So right now, the current enrollment at Belle Prairie is 745. At Nashua, it's 358. With this shift for next year, they would be looking at Belle Prairie having 653 and Nashua being at 450. So Nashua's still in pretty good shape with the new building that they'll have, and then Belle Prairie feeling a little bit of relief there again. If approved tonight, we would begin notifying families of the change tomorrow, and with that, working with our ELL department to make sure that they receive communication in various translations as needed, but they've also agreed to make individual phone calls to families that may be impacted by this change as well. Additionally, Dr. Porter, myself, Ms. Minnick from Nashua, Dr. Martin from Belle Prairie will host an informational meeting on November 8th for families just to talk through in an in-person setting about each family's next steps and provide support as needed. I want to note also that we're not proposing any changes to programming as far as our ELL program that's at Belle Prairie and their self-contained autism program. We would like to propose that they would stay there. And then also taking into consideration our rising fifth graders and any of their siblings, keeping with a similar format as what we used with Rising Hill when they opened, allowing them to be granted a transfer to stay if requested, if that's what they'd like to do. All other transfers will be handled following our district process, and in most cases, if the student is not participating in a special program, families would be required to provide their own transportation. Again, that's been pretty consistent with what we've done in the past, and so that's what we propose tonight. We do anticipate this change to be a bit more gradual when we take into account the number of fifth graders that might request to stay. But any incoming kindergartners and any new families to the area would automatically be rezoned and directed to Nashua. The transfer request window would open tomorrow with approval, and then families would have all the way until that last day before winter break, December 20th, to submit a request. That would allow student services enough time to process each request and meet with families, and then that also gives human resources and academic services enough time to look at cohort numbers for students and determine any staffing changes that might be necessary for Belle Prairie or Nashua for next year. And with that timeline, that would put us in a pretty good spot to make those decisions by February of 2024. However, we are anticipating with Belle Prairie's continued growth that many of the shifts will be taken care of through attrition, but again, following our similar processes whenever we do have to make staffing changes through HR. As far as communication, beyond that, we have had a conversation initially with Belle Prairie, but would follow up tomorrow again in written communication should you approve this tonight. Again, reiterating, just we want to make sure that families understand how they're impacted and have plenty of time to make decisions for their families by including translations and access interpreters. We have also talked with Ms. Minnick, the new principal at Nashua, about any opportunities going into the spring where she's bringing in families to have some sort of input on the new Nashua and being sure to include those families so they feel a part of that experience as well. And so that is what we are proposing for a boundary change tonight, but would entertain any questions you may have for us.
Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So for the programs that would be staying, does that include, for those students, does that include transportation then too as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So ELL students currently receive transportation. They would continue to do so, and so would any self-contained autism program students.
May I ask about the same populations that were just discussed, ELL and the autism? Are they from within the boundaries of that school, or are they brought from other portions of the north area?
Yeah, the ELL program is primarily from the Staley feeder pattern, and so they currently draw students from Fox Hill, Nashua, and whatnot. And autism, I anticipate, is the same. There might be a few one-offs just due to space in other classrooms around the district, but primarily those are all Staley families.
Do we have a sense of the numbers of students in those populations?
I don't. No, it's
So
okay.
sorry.
I can find out that information for you, though.
I would
and get back to you.
just be interested. I think it's a really strong plan to keep them there, of course, but I was just curious about the numbers.
I do know that the ELL population in that northern tier is growing, and so there is a hope to eventually expand ELL program to other schools in the Staley feeder pattern, but right now, Belle Prairie is the main site for ELL programming in that feeder pattern.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Other questions? All right.
Madam President,
yes.
before you, I do think that this is a good idea that the board consider this change today, because we're still building houses in that area for Belle Prairie. And we're just simply not gonna have the room for students. And what is interesting, although it looks like Belle Prairie has a big catch hold, if you will, of students, it's primarily Staley Farm, Staley Hills, and if you go back to that map, that's just about it. And so you're capturing what you can get in that Nashua attendance area, which would be west of Woodland there. And I believe when I was principal at Nashua, those students attended Nashua. So it's been a while, obviously, but it is something that we've had, and we're working with the city to improve curbs and sidewalks in that area, as it may give some of our kids an opportunity on nice days to walk to school, to the new Nashua. We do have a crossing guard at North Oak there, but there's plenty of upside, and I think that a brand new National Blue Ribbon school will be a good opportunity for these families as well. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Any other comments, questions? This is an item asking for approval, so I would entertain a motion. For the administrative.
Second?
Been moved and seconded for approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Right, the motion carries and the approval is granted. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Our next item is the year-round school report, and I will ask Dr. Daniels and Dr.
bunch
Clemens
of
and Dr.
doctors.
Sutton, a whole bunch of doctors up to the podium.
A whole bunch of us. Good evening. I'm going to take you back to 2014 when our very own Dr. Clemens led a year-long task force around extended school year. At the time, we called it modified calendar, and we may have gotten in a little trouble with DESE for that. So, extended calendar began and was fully implemented after board approval then in 2015. As you know, it's been a point of pride for our school district for many years. And we have tremendously dedicated individuals at both Crestview and Wynwood. You might recall in 2019, the board asked for an assessment of how are we doing with this investment that we're making. What is that return? And KU did a study for us that showed some significant results, and Dr. Sutton will review that for us. But now with the impending combination of Lakewood and Wynwood coming together, again, we were asked to look at the effectiveness of year-round school and then make an administrative recommendation moving forward. So tonight you will hear both quantitative and qualitative data. Then Dr. Clemens and I will speak to you about an administrative recommendation. Beyond that, we'll discuss next steps and support moving forward. So let's start with Dr. Sutton with the quantitative data.
Throughout the past 13 years, I've had the privilege to work with administrators from Crestview and Wynwood and lots of staff members during that time as well on a variety of different initiatives aimed at improving academic achievement. And this visual would really describe the pattern of achievement throughout those 13 years. And if I take you to the screen, when you're looking at the horizontal straight line, that would represent kind of the state academic performance overall in English and math. And then the wavy line would represent the collective academic achievement for English and math at both Crestview and Wynwood. So if we go back to 2010, what this graph would show you is that both schools were performing pretty significantly below the state. And right around that 2010, 11, 12 time period, Wynwood was actually performing so far below the state, they were identified as a focus school by the state of Missouri, which was one of the lowest 5% in terms of academic performance in the state of Missouri. So we implemented a variety of initiatives. We really began to move the needle on the academic achievement, and then the Board of Education charged us to look at some other innovative programming, which then Dr. Clemens led that committee, Dr. Daniels was on that committee, I was on that committee as well, and we came out with a recommendation to move towards the modified calendar. And we began that in the summer of 2015. And so then after that first year, when we had some map data, you can see that time period of 2016 to 2018. We began to see some really good results during that time period. Combined performance, performing at or above the state in most content areas and most grade levels. And then beginning in about 2019, we began to see that pattern change a little bit. And during that peak period, we commissioned a study, research study with the University of Kansas. And what they found in that study was that in students that were in cohort 2, which meant 2 years of treatment or 2 years of modified calendar, we saw strong positive effects in mathematics as compared to their control schools. And those control schools are listed there at the bottom. And then for those students that were in modified calendar for 3 years or the cohort 3, we saw strong positive effects in both English and mathematics. And then this table is going to take you from kind of that time period in which we were seeing some of our peak performance academically and to how that started to shift throughout the past several years. So what you're looking at here is a number of tested areas at or above the state proficiency level. So what I did is I took English and math. Let's just use Crestview as an example. And there's 6 different areas that we're held accountable for. 3rd grade ELA, 4th grade ELA, 5th grade ELA, and same with math. So 6 accountability areas in each one of those schools. So I put them together for the denominator that you see up there as 12. And in 2016, 11 of those 12 areas of accountability performed at or above the state in terms of academic performance. And then as we slowly move throughout the years, you can see 17, 18, 19, it began to change. To 2019, we had 5 of those 12 areas that performed at or above the state overall in English and math. And then 2020, of course, COVID hit. We didn't have an assessment. 2021, I did not include that data. That was a pretty challenging year as well. We had students in hybrid, virtual. It was quite a challenge and certainly not fair, I think, to use that achievement data in this conversation. And then as we get to 22 and 23, you can see about 2 in 2022 areas in which we performed at or above the state, and the most recent results in 23, 1 of those 12 areas. And in 23 and 22, you can see that we averaged about 13, 12% below the state average in each one of those consecutive years. There are so many variables that impact academic achievement. The Board of Education asked us to look at several of those. One of those, of course, is student transiency, and you can see in both buildings it's pretty high. We're turning over a population of students every 2.5 to 3 years in each one of those buildings. Staff turnover has been high, especially over the past 5 years. I know that it's been high over the past few years, especially during COVID, just across the country. So that certainly had an implication. But Crestview is almost 25%, and Wynwood 15%. And then summer attendance. The difficult thing with modified calendar and starting in June is that we're not able to require students to attend. Summer school has to be officially optional. And I think over time, our families begin to to see that and understand that as well. And so when you're starting the beginning of the year in June with a brand new curriculum, and we're teaching those first 30 days and kicking off a new school year, when attendance is low, you have a lot of new students that aren't enrolling until August. We have a lot of students that are missing a lot of instruction those first 30 days. And so that summer attendance certainly was a challenge. And then additional information, opt-outs. When we started Modified Calendar, we had approximately 7% of families that chose to opt out. And then over time, it's increased to approximately 11% of families that choose to opt out. And the 7-year impact, I look at this as for those students that were in a Modified Calendar from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade get like an extra year, full year of instruction. But as we pulled those numbers in the spring of 2023, you'll see that 27 5th grade students at Crestview started kindergarten and then finished 5th grade. And typically we have anywhere from 65 to 75 5th graders in a given class. Wynwood, we had approximately 13 students that were with us from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. And on any given year, we could have 35 to 45 students in that class at Wynwood. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Avila to talk a little bit about some qualitative data.
So to accompany the quantitative data that Dr. Sutton just shared with you, we also wanted to take a qualitative lens to this, and we used several measures to do so. We have our annual staff survey in Panorama. We looked at 2021, 2022, and 2023 at the open-ended staff responses there. We also took a look at last year's parent surveys, the general parent survey that's administered in the winter, and a Title I survey that's given in the spring to see what parents were saying there. And then most recently, we did some in-person meetings with both staff and also conducted a staff survey. What I tried to do was take a look at what was really coming up over and over again. What were those emerging themes in terms of the benefits and the challenges? And so in looking at both the staff survey and the parent survey, these things listed as student and family benefits were very, very clear. The consistency and the connection provided to students was something that was very important to the staff especially. You can see in the quote there that's on the side from a Crestview staff member where they talk about the additional emotional and educational support that students receive in the summer months as being an added bonus. They also talked about having access to resources, the breakfast and lunch program, as well as just other social emotional resources in the summer, the additional learning time, as well as just opportunities to engage in the summer for families who might not be able to provide that for their own children. In terms of staff benefits, one thing that really stood out was just the unique identity that both of these staff feel towards their school and their program, and the feeling of investing in their community. We saw that over and over again in what they said. There was also a clear message in terms of the financial benefits for the staff, both certified and classified. Our teachers and just certified staff in general receiving higher salaries, but then also classified staff not having to look for additional employment in the summer. And there's a quote there from one of the Wynwood staff members remarking on that very point. When we get into the challenges, these weren't as consolidated. They were a little bit more diverse, but still, again, tried to pull out the main themes. You heard Dr. Sutton talk about the data around student attendance. This also came up in the staff surveys about challenges. That coupled with the August enrollees means that we've got a good number of students who aren't taking advantage of the additional days that are built in. And when they do come in August, it's almost as though those classrooms have to do a reset in terms of routines and whatnot. And in the same way that you'll see here in just a minute, they talk about teacher burnout or teacher stamina waning throughout the year. We have some comments about student stamina waning as well as staff stamina. And then just the general incompatibility of that extended calendar with metro area sports and camps and things for families who do choose to take advantage of those things. Staff burnout and turnover for both teaching staff as well as administrators came to the top in the survey. The administrator turnover piece was more so around Crestview than it was around Wynwood. But in general, noticing just that the impact that having consistent staffing plays on really truly being able to move academic achievement forward. Additionally, you see there's a quote here from a Winwood staff member commenting on just the impact on her personal work-life balance and just that quick turnaround in the role that it plays. The last thing on this slide that I'll mention that's different is just the availability of certain systems and resources in June and July. They vary a little bit than they are in the traditional calendar in terms of when there's technology turnover or turnaround and curriculum upgrades that happen in the summer. Sometimes the extended calendar staff aren't able to take advantage of those things as quickly. And then finally, one of the big challenges here is that with the staff turnover being what it is, then we're also onboarding a lot of staff within a short amount of time. And so particularly the veteran staff at both schools remarked on how that can be a challenge for them with the staff turnover being responsible for helping bring along their new colleagues and really feeling like they're giving them a good start and being able to do their best effort with that. Additionally, just what has been a trend at particularly Crestview is the hiring of brand new or beginning teachers and how many times, this quote here from Crestview says, many times our students have had first year or second year teachers for the majority of their schooling. And while many first year teachers are wonderful, there's certainly an added benefit to experience. When asked for just things that should be considered going forward in order to improve student experiences, these were the things that came up in the staff surveys. Recruiting and retaining staff, that including teachers as well as administrators. Providing additional staffing for interventions, so looking at particularly math interventionists, but even just some new specialized roles that might help support student learning. They talked a little bit about also implementing what they call a true year-round calendar where there are breaks throughout the year as opposed to the added days at the end or at the beginning in our case. And then expanded tutoring opportunities, and again, the importance of families continue to have access to meals and resources throughout the summer. And with that, I'll hand it to Dr. Clemens. You don't need it.
I do have an update on our previous presentation. We have 80-something EL students at Belle Prairie, and we have 12 autism learners. So I just want to make sure we close that gap. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Jake. I know he's here. Our principal has worked his tail off as the principal, assistant principal, and I think a teacher as well in this program, and has done really good things at Crestview for our kids, as well as our NEA friends that originally helped us design this year-round school. Truly, it's kind of hard for me today because I have such passion for our year-round school, but I also understand what data means, and understanding that sometimes in education things run its course. But that doesn't mean that we're giving up on kids or don't think that we should be supporting our students in these schools. I think it's time to get the team back, if you will. And let's look as they're transitioning into new buildings, let's look at what opportunities exist, because I bet you it's not those two schools alone. I think we need to provide interventions for probably a handful of schools that would have similar outcomes and similar needs. And support a larger group. So I don't think that today is necessarily a difficult day, because I think we did a lot of good things for kids. But I also know that when you start to see your accomplishments diminish a little, that it's probably time to go back to the drawing board and find out exactly what we need to be doing to get those types of scores that we got when we first started the year-round school. I think the slide before this, oh yeah, it's still up there. The retention of veteran staff and some of those pieces, I think should be some talking points in the cadre as they start to look forward about what is it that we can provide for students in some of our schools. Now, I heard very clearly from the board, whatever we do, we want to keep those resources in the schools, the added resources that have been provided. And I think with that, whether it be staff or financial, I think that's a really good start to start coming up with some really good interventions. So that's a long way for me to say. I'd like to make the administrative recommendation. If we can go, oh, I got to do this, don't I? All right, they did it for me. Make the recommendation that in next year would be our final year in the year-round school. Certainly, we're still doing good things for kids, but I think at that point that'll give our staff a year to really get a cadre of people together, study the issues, look at interventions that might be more beneficial for our young people, talk to our parents about what are the parent needs within these communities, and also figure out something that may be longer lasting for our teachers in these schools. I know Chad talks a lot about professional development, and is there an opportunity to provide more of that to folks if they're going to be some of our first, second year teachers in these buildings. So the recommendation is a little bit tricky. So they would continue in June with a new school year, and then next May, not this May, but the next May, that's when it would end. And I think that August would be when you would open up the Lakewood Wynwood. But it also provide you, like I said, plenty of study time to see what's needed to support our students, not only in Wynwood, Crestview, Lakewood, but some of those other schools that have been studied along the way. I think we're all familiar with those. So I think now it's back to Dr. Daniels.
So again, with this recommendation, Lakewood and Wynwood would open in August of 2025 as a traditional calendar school, but perhaps with new interventions or ways of serving families. But as Dr. Clemens said, other schools could benefit from that too, beyond just Crestview and Wynwood. So this buys us some time to commission a task force primarily to seek out those alternative solutions. Again, and have a broader application than what we've had before. Dr. Sutton will lead that task force. We've met with the staff members of Lakewood, Wynwood, and Crestview about 3 times at the end of last school year and then twice during this school year to continue talking to them, to be transparent about the data that we shared with you tonight, and to get their suggestions and questions along the way. We've invited them to be a part of that task force. As individuals who've lived it and know our students best, we want their input on applying those solutions in a more broad manner. And then lastly, attending to staff needs and family needs. Right now, our staff members have an additional 30 days of their daily rate as part of their contract. The slow phasing out of that is a tremendous step and was suggested by a staff member at Crestview. That's how we came to this solution. But again, determining the other needs that we have and potential opportunities to make additional money for both classified and certified staff too is something we must consider. So again, in taking care of our staff members, we know that ultimately our students will be taken care of. So this is the recommendation at this time. I'd love for Todd, though, to come forward and talk to you about HR and the processes that will be used moving forward should you approve this recommendation.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things about human resources and how we would approach this scenario. So the extended calendar teaching contract is for 216 days. So with the scenario that Dr. Clemens described, so that contract runs with the fiscal year, July 1 to June 30. So when June rolls around, we're starting a new school year. Those teachers are still under their old contract, if that makes sense. So this spring, we would issue contracts then for July 1 through May. That's 201 days. So right now, they're under 216. That next contract will be 201 before we roll around and then get to what is the traditional calendar teaching contract of 186 days. So again, stair-stepping down, if you will. Transfer requests, so we certainly could have, a matter of fact, I already have 4 teachers that have spoken with me here very recently about an interest in transferring because they were all in with the extended school year model. But if that's going to be removed, then I may have other interests. Maybe I want to work closer to home and what have you, whatever the case may be. And so we will then visit with those individuals in human resources and help them find a placement that is suited for them. So they'll get some preferential treatment as we sort through that on an individual basis. So the opportunity to work summer school, these people, classified and certified, will be given that opportunity to work summer school. Financially, you know, if you told me, Dr. Schutz, we want you to work 1 fewer month this summer, we're going to cut your pay by that, that's significant. So hopefully you'd give me a big advance notice if you were going to do that. So we're trying to do that, and you would also maybe give me some opportunities, right, to make up for that. So we're going to do that as well as we work with these people. on an individual basis to help support them through this transition, which is what this slide is about. Extra duty opportunities for classified staff, we need to explore those. And of the people that I mentioned, some are classified and some are certified. So we'll work through both of those. The staffing for the combined site is another conversation of Lakewood and Wynwood. Those will have one-on-one meetings as well. As we approach the opening of that school, we will need to meet with the singleton positions. So we don't need 2 nurses. We don't need 2 counselors likely. We don't need 2 of a lot of things. So those meetings will be lumped in kind of with all of this project. And then anybody that is needing additional support, or they need to sort through all of this and how it's going to impact them, we have a good running head start on that, and HR is prepared and ready and willing to support people through this change, should the board approve the recommendation. Having said that, I believe we're ready to move on back to communications.
So with approval tonight, we would begin with some follow-up communication to staff to make them aware of the approval, as well as reaching out to Crestview, Wynwood, and Lakewood families. Making sure that we are, again, providing communication that is accessible, so written translations as well as having interpreters available. Again, the ELL department has committed to making those individual phone calls to families who are impacted. Within that communication, there are a few things that we want to clarify. Again, making sure they understand that we will do one more year of extended calendar, and traditional calendar would begin in August of 2025, so making that very clear. And making sure parents know, or families know, that they will notice those initial changes in June of 2025. We also want to clarify move-in dates. So making sure that Crestview families know that they've got one more summer at Davidson, but then we'll move into their new facility in August of 2024. But Wynwood and Lakewood, when we visited with both staff, there was a clear desire from them that they wanted to move into the new building together. And so Lakewood would stay at Norclay one more year, Wynwood would stay in their building for one more year, and then they would both move in August of 2025. And then beyond that, we want to make sure families know about the task force so that they have an opportunity to provide some input from their experience and provide some guidance on what they feel may be needed. And so that's what we would be proposing for next steps in communication.
We should also give credit to Lisa Baldwin, who served on the task force many years ago too. That being said, we've been so proud of year-round school. We've toured the nation talking about the successes that we did get to celebrate initially. And we do believe it's incumbent on us, though, to continue to seek out solutions that best serve all kids. So with that, we would answer any questions that y'all have tonight, and then with the administrative recommendation moving forward.
Thank you for the really good report. Questions? Anybody on this side?
I just want to say thank you so much for, first of all, putting so much thought into this. It's just so important, and obviously we have our A-team on it, and I appreciate the communication that you've had with the staff at the schools, the input that you've received from them, that you've asked from them. I know I've talked with several of them who've really appreciated that communication and really appreciated the input that you've requested from them. So I know that that goes a long way when we're making these kinds of big decisions. So thank you so much. And I know that will also be very much appreciated by the community to continue these conversations and to be very transparent going forward and just making sure that we're very clear. And I think that those individual phone calls that we would be making to families would also go a long way. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Harrell?
Yeah, good evening. I'll try to make a statement to hopefully make it sound maybe a little bit better than it could be, in the fact that maybe our whole community can come together and really help us put together a robust summer school program, specifically district-wide or specifically in the schools affected, really for the summer of 2025. Because really, the regular school term will go through May of 2025, but we'll have an opportunity for 3 to 4 to 5 weeks within the summer of 2025 to have just our regular summer school programming. So again, I think there won't be a total loss of learning in that summer if we implement more of a rigorous summer school program for those buildings.
It almost sounds like you want to be on the task force, Mr. Harrell.
Well, what I'm saying is maybe the parents could also have input when you talk to them about what would a summer school, if they had an ideal summer school program that wasn't an extended year but was a summer school program, you know, what would that look like to them?
Thank you for that suggestion. Absolutely.
Couple of comments and reflections. I guess my first one would be to share Dr. Clemens' comment about this is not a happy moment. We had great expectations. I think perhaps Dr. Sutton's slide at the first with the bell curve is indeed an apt background for where we are. We were very concerned about the performance of the 5 schools that have been mentioned and hunting for a way to boost the performance. And so I entertain no apologies for what we did. We tried to find a solution. We made a strong effort at it. We monitored the results. And that's one of the things that as a board we've stressed is data-driven solutions. We monitored the results. They were there. And then they weren't. I think there were some assumptions we made or expectations we held that now don't seem to have been correct. I mean, that's not, there is no part of that's criticism. You do something new, you make assumptions. One of them was what we thought would be the value perceived by those 2 communities and the opportunity for year-round school and the opportunity to have that kind of support, extra support for their students' education, we thought would change behavior in those neighborhoods, and there'd be a stronger commitment and a follow-through to it. But with the mobility not changing, with some of the things we've discovered with some of the ELL populations wanting a chance in the summer to return to their homes, which aren't nearby, we found some things that we hadn't understood when we started the process. So what we had anticipated was people moving into the communities for the extra services, and that didn't occur. And the opt-out continuing to kind of edge up just a little said that value proposition that we made the assumption about ended up not materializing. That would be my analysis. We expected that the extra year of instruction over the K-5 experience would produce significantly better outcomes, and for a while it looked like it was heading that with cohort 2 and cohort 3, but when we got to the end, that waned, and not fully clear why, but the data is clear, and it did. One of the things that we also made an assumption about was that the salary boost for experienced teachers would be significant because that increase in their salary for the last 5 years or 3 years or whatever, up to 5 years, would be enough that it would boost their lifelong earnings forever. I mean, it changes their retirement benefit by a significant amount, and we thought that would help motivate experienced teachers to want to be at these schools for the financial benefit, and we haven't found that to have occurred. So we made good assumptions, but assumptions are just that, and the data says perhaps they weren't as good as we hoped they would be. So I fully support the recommendation that's been made. It's not without a twinge of heartache. On the other hand, we saw from the data you provided to us this week that there's almost $750,000 that's been poured into this augmented educational opportunity on an annual basis, and with the consolidation of the two schools, there's another chunk that's there, and when you take the two of them together, I think the task force has a pool of money that they can consider as they try to find the next solution. And, you know, that to me says it's not, let's go fix it, and by the way, you don't have any money to work with. There is a pool of money that should be meaningful. And so I think it's time to move the curve back upward rather than continuing at a low level. Recognizing what we're talking about are 5 schools that are over 80% free and reduced lunch. We're talking about schools that we know, when that's the demographic, face many challenges, some of which can be fixed by education, some of which require other interventions that aren't in our control and probably shouldn't be in our scope of responsibilities. That's not to say we don't partner with others to try and address those. But it's recognizing that this group of students faces extra challenges in reaching achievement levels at or above the state averages. So I applaud the idea of a new task force, developing a new concept that we think will put these students on the path we want for them. And it's onto the opportunity side of the equation, not the other side. So I totally support the recommendation. I thank the staff for their thoughtful evaluation. I don't see anybody here jumping for joy either. I think some sadness is felt by all of us. But I do think our commitment is to take care of the students we have and make sure they have the opportunities they deserve. And this is the best way we know how to do that today. And so thank you for the recommendation.
Thank you. I want to say 2 things and then make a request. I appreciate that you're willing to dig deep into the data and to make a determination when it's difficult to do. It's hard to go back and admit that maybe something didn't go right that you'd planned, but you're willing to do that, and thank you for that. Also, I'm grateful that you're putting the task force together, because clearly these students, with the numbers that we're looking at, are still struggling, and they still need future interventions, and so I'm grateful that there's a task force coming together for that. So my request is that when the task force is assembled, that we have quarterly updates so we can see how things are progressing, because it would be helpful to understand what we're doing, recognizing that we're looking at two more years with these students before we make any significant changes for them on the calendar. We just don't want them to fall out of sight. Thank you.
Thank you for all of the information and the time that is taken to get to this point of recommendation. I know it was especially thoughtful because there was a lot of value and hopefulness with this. I appreciate so much that we are an innovative district and that we will take a risk, and we will make a calculated risk, but take a risk anyway and try to improve conditions for our students. And so I see that this is phase 2 of that same trajectory, that we are going to be looking hard, using data, using our best staff ideas, and applying all of our energy toward that. And I appreciate the fact that both of these that these buildings are all still continuing to go through transition, and transition is hard as well. And so anything that we can do during these transition years to continue to redouble our efforts to provide whatever, additional summer school supports or whatever, I certainly applaud that and the recommendation here tonight. So thank you very much. We'll get there. So was there anything else that, Ms. Hines, that you wanted to share? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip over you.
So, I mean, I'm new to the board, and so a lot of what I'm hearing tonight is
I think from a slightly different perspective because I haven't been following, right, as closely. But what I took away from your presentation is just the courage that it takes to use that data to feed forward and think about how you want to progress for a future orientation of what could be better. So I appreciate that optimism. And then in that process of focus groups and additional conversations with the community, the parents, the teachers who are affected, there are some change management models that talk about the importance of making space to mourn and just reflect on the things that people are going to miss, right? That there's usually not a lot of time that's spent on that, but to turn those into constructive opportunities to think about, okay, what are the positive experiences that people want to carry forward, right, as part of that new future that you're trying to create. So just encouraging you to think about that as well as you're going through the communal processing, right, of what it means to look at the future.
Thank you for that. There has been an administrative recommendation before you. I would entertain a motion if there's no further discussion.
Move approval of the administrative recommendation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. The motion has been approved. All right, our next item is a human resource update, and Dr. Schutz will lead us through that.
Well, thank you for this opportunity this evening. As you recall, the Human Resources Department presented in July, provided you with an update on the goings-on in our department and what we were dealing with and what we were looking forward to as we march ahead in these times. So it's just been 3 months. We wanted to update you on some of the things we spoke about in July, as well as we have some new data and some new initiatives we'll fill you in on as well. We're going to go relatively quickly here, but give you then the opportunity to ask questions where you would like for us to hit on some more detail. So jumping in here, turnover. So we've got some solid turnover data from this past school year, 22-23. It's 13.65% to be exact turnover, and that is all staff, mind you. That is classified staff, certified staff, bus drivers, cooks, teachers, administrators. That's everybody, 13.65%. So when you think about that, it's actually a pretty good number when you throw all of our staff in there. So next to it, you have the national teacher turnover rate. So nationally, when you go online and you try to find this number, it's a very elusive number. It's very difficult to pin down, well, what are we saying is the national teacher turnover rate? And years ago, when I started in HR, 16% was a number we felt really good about. That was pre-COVID. That was pre a lot of things. But 16%, we felt really good about that number, and it seemed to stay the same year after year after year. COVID hit, and a lot of things have changed since then, and 16% is still thrown out there as a number. But so is anywhere from 12 to 15. So that mid-teen range would be a safe number, I suppose. But again, that's the teacher turnover average. The number I'm giving you is all of our staff at that 13.65%. And I think that's really important that we look at it that way, because it takes all of our staff to pull this off. And how well we're recruiting and retaining all of our staff is really, really important. Focus groups, we have identified data. We have a 3-year average we're looking at for all of our schools and their retention rates, just so we have a good idea of which schools historically really are doing a great job of retaining their staff, and where might we need to step in as some of the other schools and help support that culture so that we can bring up their retention rates as well. So we have that data, and we're getting ready to get started on that adventure. PenMac, big change in the HR department with a new substitute server if you will, substitute services server. So this transition has gone very well, and you've heard a little bit from me in the HR department about this. I do have at my station some more up-to-date numbers, but I think I've got them memorized. The current sub pool, that number is at 384, I believe. Go ahead, Dr. Johnson. Yeah, it's the second page, I believe, the email there. 384.
So subpool completely onboarded 387.
That was close. That was really, really
Take another
close.
guess for the next one. Onboarding in process.
Pardon me?
Onboarding process 47 in
Well,
process.
you didn't give me a chance to provide that.
I gave you a chance. You didn't seem like you wanted it.
Okay. 47, all right.
And then applied 111.
111. So the applied, we don't know where those people might end up, right? But the 47 that are going through the onboarding process, that's good. Those people are going through the effort to get onboarded and get in the pool. 387, these people are onboarded, they're rolling, they're active. And what we notice with PenMac is of that 387, 311 of them are actively substituting. So a good chunk of these people are active substitutes in our district. So that's kind of the difference that we've seen. So 91.7% fill rate currently. Yes? Okay. We have 91 here. It's 91.7%. That's been pretty steady over a couple of weeks. Great fill rate. Very, very pleased with that. But that is for our teacher fill rate. So we're doing pretty well there. We definitely want to continue to raise the bar and get better and better. We want more and more people in the pool. But our paraprofessional fill rate is low at 50%. So we're looking at that. We're talking with PenMac about that. We're thinking about policy changes, things that we may want to do differently from our department, try to get that number up for that fill rate. We do have, I skipped over here on your slide, the retired North Kansas City teachers. We have 60 of those people. You'll recall that with retired North Kansas City teachers, we pay them what we would normally pay a substitute plus what we would normally pay the vendor to fill that sub job. So they get it all. And we manage then that pool in our department. So we have about 60 of them. They're very active. These tend to be teachers that they want to go back to the school that they retired from, and in some cases sub for those colleagues in their department that they worked with. So they get very attached to exactly where they'll go, but they're very active in doing that. So this has been a tremendous help to us and has supplemented the pool very, very well. And then the building substitutes assigned to each school. This has become a common practice for schools, and we just consistently get feedback that is very, very significant in supporting our schools as we work to fill those classrooms. Okay, the other thing I wanted to update you on, last time we met, I was getting ready to meet with the Cooperating School Districts Human Resources Group. So CSD has, all of the superintendents meet, and then there's personnel people that also meet. And so that group, I was getting ready to meet with them and pose a group project, if you will. Could we all get together and talk about comprehensive staffing models and what it looks like to be fully staffed for this position or for that position, and we've started this discussion. So they're on board and they're ready to go to work on this. We actually had a meeting last week and we started to dig in to this project. It's going to take some time. There are some districts that have started down this road already, so they'll be very, very helpful. We have some great samples of districts around the Midwest, even one from in the state, I believe. So anyway, we're getting to work on this, and this will be a great collaborative opportunity for all of the metro school districts in developing some best practices or some standards here in this regard. Okay, so I'm going to pause there. I'm going to get Dr. Coy was able to sit out last time in July, but not tonight. We're putting her to work, and she's going to update you on some classified things.
Thank you, Dr. Schutz. Yeah, last time they said I was a little too green to present, so I'm happy to be here with you this evening. So good news, we're pretty stable with our classified fill rates. However, I do want to bring to your attention one group in particular that we're seeing a low average fill rate and a significant turnover, and that's our paraprofessionals. Right now, we have 53 vacancies, so we are contracting 31 of those 53 vacancies. What we're noticing is we have about a 25% turnover rate, and that's not new. That's something that we have seen over the last couple of years. So to combat that, we are being very aggressive with our recruiting techniques. We have also partnered with PenMac for them to do a recruit to hire. They have been helping us for the last 2 weeks just to kind of underscore the significance of the fill rate. They were able to provide us with one applicant to interview within those 2 weeks. However, our team has also taken an aggressive approach, which I don't want to go into too much detail to give away our secrets. But we have been able to secure 22 applicants to interview within the next week or so. So we're very hopeful in that regard. Because of the high turnover rate, we also know that we have a retention issue that we need to deal with as well. So we have partnered with our special education department and have hold monthly meetings with Samantha Poindexter and her team to get some ideas. We also are going to reestablish the meet and confers, so have an opportunity to meet with our paraprofessionals and get some ideas from them on how we can retain them within our organization. And also we have our classified professional development. So we really want to capitalize on that and find opportunities where we can support our paras. Some are even interested in going into the teaching field. So we're really excited about that opportunity. Which leads us into our professional development update. As you are aware, we've had 2 PD opportunities for our classified staff. We're really excited. We have onboarded 27 classified facilitators who've led our first customer service module. We're continuing to work with them. They will then start some equity and inclusion training second semester. Dr. Johnson has graciously provided 3 opportunities in the upcoming months to prepare them for that work for second semester. We also will have our first ever Empowered Advisory Committee meeting this Thursday because we want to hear from our classified staff how things are going and how we can provide better professional development opportunities for them second semester. Okay, I'll turn it over to Dr. McCann.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about our certified updates and where we are with our certified hiring. We talked a little bit last time about some different methods. We are still using as many methods as we can find to fill all of our vacancies. We've really leaned into some different types of certification, provisional certification, what they call a temporary authorization certificate, something that before we didn't really get into too much, but now we've seen the need to do that. We've even had a couple instances where we're using long-term substitutes to fill a need. Some of those will be turned into teachers and will go into being a provisional certification and then a full teacher certification. So we're trying to use all the different things. We've used our retired personnel. We were successful in getting the PSRS laws changed a little bit to allow us to have more retired personnel come back and work. And we filled a number of hard-to-fill positions with that and what we call critical shortage. The majority of those have been in special education, but we've had other areas as well. And we even have a couple instances where we've used contracted services to fill some of our special education needs. What we were able to do is if we needed to expand, we expanded. So we didn't wait to do that. Some expansion will wait till semester, where we will open some more positions and some more classrooms at semester after we've looked and made sure we found quality candidates to do that. One way we've done that is to use some of the incentives that the board has wisely chosen to approve, and we appreciate that. And we've been able to use those critical shortage incentives to hire staff for multiple staff, and we expect that we will use that when we have more critical shortage openings. And we can do that to make sure we've got a high percentage of our jobs filled. Paying student teachers has been another way that we have been able to introduce more people to North Kansas City. You're up in the Northland, everybody knows North Kansas City. What we found is when we've gone to some other places, maybe people don't know North Kansas City. They don't know our story. They don't know what we do. And so that's been a lot of fun. I was at Pittsburgh State just a few days ago and telling them that's not a place traditionally we've been, but we've been able to find some people that I think will have working for us before too long. And so I think that's a way for us to get in there, and they really don't, and teach them about all the things we do. One thing that's been a lot of fun to tell people about is how we've really kind of backed our thoughts about equity with building new buildings in older neighborhoods. Nobody else really does that. And so when you tell people that's going to happen, it's kind of exciting. And when you tell, especially our younger candidates that we're trying to attract in college, that, hey, you can come and work and really do good, and you're going to be working in this brand new building, that's exciting to them. And it's pretty easy to show because, right, you've got some new pictures and things like that. That's really our recruiting. We're trying to recruit in every single way we can. So we've used some new methodology in terms of what we use, internet, and not just kind of the old-fashioned, what they call post and pray. So we've looked to try to attract more people in every single way we can. You know, we're not only going to university fairs, but we are hosting our own fairs more regularly. And the last time we did that, we had more than 100 people there at the fair, you know, doing that on Saturday. Today, pretty much every single one of our principals and many people around this table got an email from me starting our pool hiring practices. So we're going to start doing those. So we will be having multiple interviews almost every week up now until January, trying to get more people into our pool and using our size to our advantage. We know we're going to have to hire certain people, so we're going to get there and we're going to find as many. If we find a 5-star candidate, we're going to hire them. We're not going to wait around and then we're going to place them later. So that's one that has really been a lot of fun to see. We managed to place every single one of our pool hires, and we gave them options of denial, and it really worked out really well. So everybody's really happy where they landed, and that's helped us to go to universities now. We'll send some people down to the universities next week who have been pool hires and who have been student teachers who've been paid. And so they're going to go down there and recruit at those lower levels, looking at people who aren't just seniors, but looking at people that are juniors, sophomores, and again, getting them to know North Kansas City, where maybe before they didn't know anything about us. So that's really, we're looking to come to the board within the next couple of months to talk about some other partnerships we're going to work on with universities to get maybe some of our classified staff better pathways to becoming certified, especially in our higher need areas like special education. So we're trying to kind of get a variety of different programs that we can use. They're going to help all our people that we have in a variety of different situations. We're up to almost 1,700 certificated staff. So it's important for us to be at 100%, because even at 99.8, that still means we have a classroom that doesn't have a certified teacher there. And our expectation is to be at 100%, and that's where we want to be and remain. Okay, so thank you. I'll finish up.
Questions from the board?
First of all, I applaud the multi-pronged approach. The fact that we're out there exploring every avenue we can find and not limiting our options to perhaps historical vistas, but looking at broader. I applaud that. One of the things, there was kind of a glancing comment that makes me wonder. We struggle every year with special ed. It's not unique to us. It's a problem. As you meet with your co-op group, I wonder if one of the things worth putting on the table for that discussion is addressing special ed, because I could almost bet that every single one of your colleagues is fighting the same problem. So my question tends to be, can we find a way to go upstream so the graduating pool has more special ed qualified candidates? I mean, there's, 13 school districts on the Missouri side fighting for 12 graduates. And the arithmetic just isn't going to work. So, the board took the approach of trying to get the state to do something more, and I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity for us to take a kind of a rifle shot or a laser shot at the special ed issue.
Yeah, it has to be addressed, and there's got to be some ways that we can attack that and collaboratively, we certainly have a greater opportunity to do that. But out of those 12 graduates, what I'll tell you is a third of them are student teaching this spring in North Kansas City. So we'll get a first crack at them.
Thank you, because I appreciate the presentation, and staff feels the same way. I mean, it's like they're very concerned. It's like, where are the new teachers going to come from? I mean, it's not just us talking about it, or your department. I mean, it's grassroots movement where they see people getting frustrated and concerned. Are we getting any of these incentives? Are these all things that we personally or North Kansas City funding? Is there any federal funds for that? State funds? It's just a thought.
The student teaching payment, stipend, if you will, that is ESSER dollars paying for that right now. And as you'll recall, that dries up after this school year, probably depending on the number of participants that we have. So we'll have to consider some local funding for that option moving forward. But we'll work that through the budget process and see if that's something we can pull off. Most of the others local funded. For example, the critical shortage stipend that you approved in July of $5,000 local dollars. Mm-hmm. We appreciate your support. I'm sorry, Carrie.
Well, I just wanted to note, first of all, I really appreciate, Chris, you mentioning the pathways that we have going forward for our classified staff and the potential for, getting their teaching degrees if that's what they would like to do. Or it's close to my heart because my niece is a paraprofessional, and she, it's a struggle because she really loves what she does. She wants to be there. She wants to do it. She loves the kids. The kids loves her. She's so good at what she does. But, she has a second job, and so she, works nights and she waits tables, and so she has to do that. And so she's choosing to keep her para job because she loves the kids and she loves what she's doing. And she's choosing to, work two jobs so that she can stay working with the kids. And I've just begged her to please, continue that because that's her passion, and she's just so good at it, and it fills her cup and it fills her heart, and she's just benefiting the kids so much. She's benefiting the school. So I say that because I just think there's a lot of opportunity for our paras who would want to go further in their career and would want to be able to commit their career to the children without having to supplement their income or have to struggle because that's supplementing their income is something that they most likely would have to do. So I say all that because I'm curious what kind of conversations we're having with our, to promote that, or, if we're going into the schools, or if that's maybe some of the conversation, like if our Grow Your Own program is an incentive for paras that would be coming into the district, or what kind of conversations we're having with the paras that are in the district. And I feel like the number of paras that are in or staff members classified in that program, in our Grow Your Own program, or that would go through that program, to me that's a metric of success for our district. So I would be very interested to just kind of know a little bit more about what those efforts entail, and then going forward if that could be a metric that we see in these reports, or
Okay.
So just focusing on that.
We are recruiting our paraprofessionals for special education teaching positions. So Dr. McCann goes out frequently and visits with these individuals one-on-one and about what their professional goals are and what program might best suit helping them achieve that goal. And you heard him speak about, some more solidified university partnerships that will help us do that on a systemic level. We plug you in here with this university, here's how the program works. Yeah, boom, 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 and we get you through and get you certified. Whereas now we may plug you in here or plug you in there, as it depends. But Chris has a lot of conversations with paraprofessionals and classified staff and getting them in a route to become certified educators.
Maybe if there's even like a bringing them together as a group, like
Yep.
in a kind of like an affinity group kind of
Mhm.
thing, where it's
A
like
cohort.
yeah, just
Mhm.
like-minded, motivating each other, and just really. I just think there's an energy there that we can expand upon.
And that would be our vision with that university partner, to bring them together as cohorts and to move them through this journey together. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I do appreciate the report. I certainly understand how hard they work to recruit quality candidates and kind of the problems that they're facing. I don't have any suggestions at this time, but I do appreciate the effort that went into the report tonight.
Thank you. Susan?
I know on the fill rates that we focused on the paraprofessionals, but I do see some really highly skilled individuals, and our fill rates are really looking very good. So that's a real celebration for us. And I think Carrie's suggestion and some of the hard work that you're doing and putting toward working on that rate are really going to pay off for us. And then, of course, tonight we looked at options for nurses as well as part of our consent agenda too, and filling that. I know there's some really essential roles. All of them are essential, but some are just must. So we appreciate that. And your report tonight, thank you for following up with us and all of our questions.
You bet. And if I could just close quickly, I got to share with the board that we met with a retired human resources professional from school human resources from the Northland. I'm not going to tell you his name. Works for another vendor. I won't tell you what school district. But he said, everybody's just trying to keep up with North Kansas City. The things that you guys are doing, everybody's like, what's North Kansas City doing with student teachers? Oh, no, they're paying them now. How are we ever going to do that? And the critical shortage stipend, their board just approved that. And you guys are always doing something and moving the bar, and it's hard to keep up with. But it's this board and the administration, our superintendent-to-be, and actually the whole cabinet, and all of their support as we navigate through these difficult times and continue to raise that bar. And for that to be an expectation, we continue to raise that bar to do the absolute best job we can to get quality people in front of our kids. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Our next item is Bond 42 update. Dr. Evans.
Thank you very much, and appreciated that report very much as well. I appreciate all the work that HR does to help us back there. I want to thank everyone for the Chapel Hill, those who could make it. It was a wonderful celebration that evening. I think it was very well received in the community. I know some Chapel Hill alum were happy to share that as well. But just a reminder, we have our Lakewood groundbreaking. May have to bundle up a little bit. Tammy said it's going to be a little bit chilly. That is next Monday at 9:30 over at the Lakewood site. So we are very excited about that as well. Not much to update as far as the budget tonight, and the reason being is because we actually meet with McCown on Thursday for our update with my internal team and McCown. One thing that will come from that meeting is we expect to see some numbers from the summer work that will happen summer of '24. Those projects include Topping Elementary, Meadowbrook Elementary, and Golden Oaks. So we will see some numbers Thursday, the first rendition of those. They were able to go to the sites, walk with the principals, walk with the facility managers. HTK was out there with our team, and so they got to see all the needs of those three buildings. And so we'll start seeing some numbers flowing to see how we can do, and I'll be able to report on that next month. One thing I will point out is we are almost a third of the way through this bond as far as expenditures out the door. So we continue to move quickly through this. But like I said, we'll have more of a budget update next week. So with that, I'll give it to Jeff.
All right, good evening. So hopefully you'll look at these pictures and think we've made a lot of progress this month, because we have. We've really taken advantage of beautiful fall weather. Of course, now it's turning rainy and cold just in time for that groundbreaking. But this is Nashua Elementary. I love these drone pictures. McCown Gordon, they fly a drone over there once a week. And so you can really, if you're familiar with that prototype school shape, you can really see that shape. You can see how close it is to the existing school. But it's really coming together. You can see that middle photo. They're doing a lot of underground work and a lot of the steel going up there. So the rest of November, really, they're going to be doing underground utilities, pouring concrete slabs, a lot of steel work in there. By contrast, I kind of like seeing these two schools go up next to each other. In the past, they've been like similar prototypes, and we kind of compare them side by side. This one being completely different. I've got up here and talked a little bit about the difference in construction, but you can really tell it from this phase. For instance, Nashua had those precast walls that went up, and it's like instant school. So Crestview, they're building their outside walls right now with studs, and then they have the sheathing going on. And here at Crestview, they have a roof deck going on. Well, they haven't been able to do that at Nashua yet because they're still putting up some steel. So they're really, it's fun for me at least to see them compare just because they're so different. At Crestview, we actually have some glass windows in there. We have, they've been putting on rooftop curbs, getting ready to do some roofing there. So they're trying to get this one dried in, and actually trying to get both of them dried in before the end of the year. But it's just sort of fun to see them come in side by side. The Lakewood Wynwood Replacement School. I really like this picture. This is a picture of the construction site, obviously. You can see that lake right across the road, and you can also see the skyline if you look beyond. So it's really a beautiful site there, and it's a great location for a school. So at Lakewood, they're making a lot of really good progress here, getting ready, putting in the foundations, getting ready for precast panels, which will be coming in, we think, later in December. And then what you see in that upper left-hand picture, they've been pouring some of the retaining walls that are the poured-in-place concrete. So really making a lot of progress there. Hopefully y'all get to see it next week at the groundbreaking. Bring a coat. That's all I had. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
I just have to make a comment. We're fishermen in our house, and we were fishing at the lake over there. And Chip said, "What are they building over there?" "Oh, Mom, look, that's the end, like our school." And I was like, "Huh." Glad that you asked. And then I got to go on a big, spiel about what we're doing and what that is. And so, it's noticed. And, if an 8-year-old will look over there and notice that, then it's certainly recognizable in the community as a whole. So very cool.
It's hard to miss that over there.
No, I would be remiss if I didn't say something. Especially, I really like the comparison between the two schools, because we certainly went through that with Davidson and Maple Park. And so I just wondered if the Crestview neighbors were out there helping shovel dirt or anything like that, like I was feeling compelled we needed to catch up with. But
Did I miss something?
No, mic.
Oh, my mic. I almost made it through the whole meeting. Anyway, would anyone like to begin with updates? Jane, thank you.
I will. Yes, everybody was really excited at Chapel Hill. That was one of the schools. My sister went there, so it was really neat to see the kids showing us all at the school and the stained glass that was still there. So that was really neat. And I went to Winnetonka Homecoming. It was Colder and Blue Blazes. Thank you for building that where the wind just comes right in your face. I really appreciated that one. The weather was a lot better for the Oak Park game, and that was really a terrific evening out, and I really appreciated it. So, fun weeks.
I enjoyed the open house too. It was fun. And I think our efforts to capture the tradition pay off. We're part of the community. That's part of their community. The stained glass is clearly to me as important as the football walls at Northtown. They're just things that the community expects, and our efforts in doing that and you all's efforts in making that happen are to be commended. This Friday, Clay County EDC is going to recognize Ora Reynolds as for the Look North Award, and part of the basis for her recognition is the work that Hunt Midwest has done to work with our district to find development solutions that work for everybody. And so that award is something that I think some of us will be going to support. The other thing, I would be remiss not to mention that School Board University, we've got 2 dates set, one coming up in a couple of weeks, and then one on 10 days later on a Saturday. So I think it's a Wednesday night and a Saturday for those people wishing to find out more about what board service is all about. I encourage those from the community, just as we had a wonderful turnout of people to be considered for appointment to the board. We need to continue to have interest and share the information with those who have the interest in that kind of community service.
Do you have anything else, Laura? No? Susan?
I just want to comment on our student tour guides at Chapel Hill. They were so thorough. I think that was the most detailed orientation I've ever had. I was really impressed. They were clearly excited, and just all the energy from the community in the building. So again, I just really appreciated feeling the energy from our student guides, how excited and proud they were of their school. It was a joy. It was a very thorough tour.
The Chapel Hill open house was just wonderful. The walk to schools were great. Fall is fun. The Education Foundation breakfast was great. It was just, I feel like they get better every single year, and this year was just really, I don't know, I very much enjoyed it. I thought Dr. Daniels' presentation was, sorry, I had to. It was so good. It was so good. It was just your voice is coming through, and it's just very cool to see. And then any opportunity to see Zion Holmes speak makes for a wonderful event. So the Education Foundation breakfast was great, and I just think that Midori's doing a wonderful job with the foundation. So just had to comment on that.
I concur. It was lit, Dr. Daniels. Thank you.
I was wondering. Mr. Harrell, anything?
Yeah, it's just always exciting that Kansas City gets to host the Missouri School Board Association meeting the first week of November. So we're going to have school board members throughout the state of Missouri visit Kansas City and also talk about some of our exciting programs at North Kansas City. So again, it's a big honor for Kansas City to host that, and we're looking forward to the activities.
Thank you. The only things I had today was Connect Ed, and I believe tomorrow, visitors from throughout the U.S. were here looking at our Pathways program and some of the great work that our students and teachers are doing. And I happened to just fall into one of the tours, and so I got to participate for a couple of hours and going into the classroom, watching the teachers interact with the students and their thoughtfulness and participation in all kinds of things, ways to improve our water sources and to clean our water and to think about equity of water. It was fascinating to hear them problem solve around that. Our student panels would have made you so proud, and in fact, some of our visitors specifically said, we've been on 4 of these tours, and this is by far the strongest student panel we have heard, and we commend you for your students. So they do it on their own, but it really was amazing. So that was a real source of pride today. Also, I had a chance, I know we had spent a lot of time thinking about our counselors and the interaction and the opportunity we have with the counseling services around our pathways. And so one of the counselors spent a lot of time talking about some of the growth moments as well as some of the opportunities and just how much they appreciate having more time with the students, knowing the students in the high schools from 9th grade to 12th grade much better, and being able to be so on providing early interventions if students their grades are struggling or attendance is or whatever other issues are preventing them from doing their very best. A lot of turnaround stories as well. So I'm just really proud that some of the pieces this board and the staff and all have begun to work on for the last 4 to 5 years are just really kind of coming together and coming to fruition. Lastly, the IB program is going to go through an accredited review in January, and they've been in process for 3 or 4 months getting paperwork together. But the opportunity to sit down again and just know that that's a source of pride of one of our diplomas here in this district, and we are just so fortunate for the leadership and the students that are a part of that, and staff. So I think that is, in addition to all the other celebrations, it's been a busy couple of weeks in this district. So appreciate all the hard work that goes into making these events such a success. So that's all I have. For future meetings, our Board of Education calendar is before you. Our next meeting is in, oh my goodness. Well, we do have, as Paul mentioned, the MSBA coming up, and November 14th is our Board of Education workshop at 7 o'clock here in Doolin. So and that is all I have this evening. Thank you very much. Very good meeting. Appreciate your time, and hope it's not raining cats and dogs out there.